Good morning, guys. I have heard from some of you that you are having trouble with last week's world religion slide, and so I'm going to go back and cover just part of this. If you are still having trouble, please email me and let me know so we can get this one completed. We already have a video on fact and opinion, so I'm not going to go over that again. Here is the answers, though, if you are confused. With opinions, we're really looking for those clue words: best, most, cutest, worst. Those kinds of words are clues that it's an opinion. With the dates and locations of religions, you really have to watch the video carefully. It does list the locations, either a city or a region on each of them in a text box on the screen. The dates are found on the bottom on the timeline, and you do have to estimate there. And so if you were even a little bit close, I said that was good enough. I didn't mark any of those wrong. For happy, happy is not a world religion because it does not meet the tests on the next slide. So happy was only in the Nile River Valley region. I know a lot of you sort of clung to the idea that it was upper and lower river people both worshipped him, but it doesn't make sense outside of the Nile River Valley. It doesn't make sense in China for the worship of Happy to be a religion. So it's not widespread enough across the globe. It makes sense regionally, but not outside of that river valley. Also, the appeal to many different people. Again, a lot of you said, well, he united the upper and lower Egypt, but he really didn't unite anybody outside of Egypt. So he doesn't meet that test either. A world religion also keeps developing and doesn't fade away. To my knowledge, Happy is not a god that is worshipped in any large scale anymore. It has sort of faded away after the kingdoms in Egypt faded away. And also, Happy is tied to one place. He's tied to the Nile River. It doesn't make sense, or it's not possible to participate in that religion if you're not close to the Nile River. So for those reasons, Happy is not a world religion. Okay, so the maps on slide 8 are where a lot of you really had questions, and so that's where we're going to spend a lot of our time today. I went ahead and I separated out each of these maps into a bigger image so that it can be easier to isolate them. So let's go ahead and take a look at these sort of one by one and go from there. The first map that I wanted you to look at is the map where these religions were founded. So where did they start? And which ones are we focused on? So we're only looking at 5, and you can see there's many more than 5, but we're looking at just 5. And the first one that we're looking at is Hinduism, and that started in India, which is right here. You can always tell India on a map because it's that giant peninsula that goes into the Indian Ocean at the very bottom of Asia. The next one we're looking at is Buddhism, and that's also starting in India. So we have 2 religions that are here in this area. The third one is Judaism, and Judaism was founded in Israel or Canaan, and it's sort of at this midpoint where Europe and Africa and Asia meet. It's the Middle East, where everything sort of converges. Christianity is in the same spot as Judaism, so this here region. And then we also have Islam, which was founded last, and that's in Saudi Arabia, which is south of Israel on the Arabian Peninsula. So if we can keep these regions in our brain, India and the Middle East, we can sort of have that mental map of where we need to be looking next. The next map shows you the locations of some large empires that were in control of this part of the world during the times that these religions were spreading. So we know that religions were founded at different times over a long period of time, and really we're talking about 2,000 years from when Hinduism started to even a little bit later than that, in 600 CE when Islam was founded. But these are some of the empires that were powerful. And I'm not asking you to memorize the names of any of these things, but I just want you to see if there's anything that sticks out to you. We have Hinduism and Buddhism in India. we have Christianity and Judaism, and then down here we have where Islam started. So what are some similarities and how do those connect to the idea of empire? You can see that Hinduism and Buddhism were both founded in an empire, and that where they're powerful is about where that empire's reaches. Hinduism and Buddhism, Hinduism especially, is most popular in India. Christianity started here. It did spread very quickly due to missionary trips that were made, but it started here where these empires were, where the Ptolemaic Empire and the Greek city-states and the Roman Empire were. Islam is kind of our outlier here because it was started not in an empire, but down in Mecca, and it didn't start during the Age of Empires. It was later than that. It was in 600. So it's sort of our, well, that one didn't fit our narrative. The next thing I want you to look at is how are these places situated for trade? I already mentioned that Christianity benefited from missionary trips, but what you don't see is you're on the Mediterranean Sea where you can get to both Asia and Africa and Europe just by trading around the Mediterranean Sea. How do you think that would have benefited people looking to spread Christianity? How do you think that would have benefited people trying to spread Islam? Even if they have to go down the coast of Africa, they have easy access through the Gulfs and then down into the Indian Ocean. Buddhism spread east. What do you think connected China and the West? You don't get to hear about it really much in 7th grade, but it's trade, specifically along the Silk Road. So you're going to think when people went and traded things, they traded more than just stuff. They traded ideas as well. The last thing I want you to notice on this map is the orange and red squiggly lines that are all over here. Those are paths that Alexander the Great took as he was conquering pretty much all of the Middle East and parts of Asia. So he's got his huge army, and they're basically just crisscrossing the Middle East, conquering and creating an empire. It lasted only a short time, but it spread lots of people away from their homes, and it took lots of ideas with them, and it also brought a lot of ideas back. So he was out here with Hindus and Buddhist monks, and they brought back algebra, and they brought back geometry, and they brought back beliefs and different ideas, and created really the Greek and Roman empires, which were these classical empires with a lot of scientific and mathematical advances, a lot of advances in technology, and it was a huge time for the explosion of ideas around the world. Okay? The last map I want you to look at is one that goes back and shows us, again, the location of our 4 river valleys that we looked at back in March. So we have Mesopotamia by the Tigris and Euphrates River, Egypt with the Nile River, the Indus and Ganga River in India, and the Yellow and Yangtze River in China. How do these 4 locations connect to our start of religions? These are the oldest civilizations that we have evidence of, and these are places where some of our oldest religions started. For example, the Indus and Ganga River is really close to the locations where Hinduism and Buddhism both started. Christianity and Judaism are started between Mesopotamia and the Nile River. Do you think that's coincidence, or do you think that there might be a reason for that? So what I'm really asking you to do when you look at these questions is think about where things are located and how that might have affected that religion. So I said that they are near river valleys, except Islam. They're mostly near where Alexander the Great controlled. These locations have in common that they're near river valleys. You could also say that they're all in the Middle East and Africa and Asia. So basically in the same general geographic region. And then I said that religion spread because populations began growing and there was war and trade that brought people away from their homes. And when they leave those homes, they bring their ideas with them. So I'm really just looking for your predictions here. As long as you gave me something that sort of made sense, that's fine. For the last slide for this, I'm really just looking for you to write down 2 things that you did learn. This week we're doing Hinduism, and next week we're doing Buddhism before we move into the other 3 religions. So I'm really looking for you to make big ideas about world religions, how they grew, how they spread, things you didn't know before. So just pick 2 things that you learned that are important to you and put those there. Let me know if you have other questions. I hope this helps, and we will talk to you later.